Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another music moment with the old-time rock and roller. Today's spotlight is on the band Van Halen. Now, between 1974 and 1976, my band Slingshot and Van Halen performed at Bill Gazzarris on Sunset Strip from Thursday through Sunday night. We had a great time. Now, at Gazzarris, there were 3 stages, and a band would play, then Van Halen would play, and then my band Slingshot would play. And at that time, Eddie was only 19, and I was 22. On the breaks, we used to go out behind Jack's liquor store and party up a storm while the first band was playing. Now, Eddie and Alex, they were like 2 people that were one because they had played together so long. Any hole that Eddie had in the guitar, Alex knew to fill on the drums and vice versa. Eddie and I got to talking, and he told me that he loved Ritchie Blackmore's guitar playing. In fact, they played Space Truckin', and he did Ritchie's part almost note for note. Now, David Lee Roth, he was a character. If you recall, after Van Halen, when he did Diamond Dave, Dave's TV, I'm Just a Gigolo, he was pretty much that persona on the stage and off the stage. He didn't have the greatest voice. Everybody knows that. But he made up for it in his performance and his karate antics, and he was a hoot, man. He was always cracking up. Michael Anthony was quiet. I mean, would pass around the Jack Daniels and maybe fire up some herb or some stimulants or whatever, but it was pretty much Eddie and Alex and Dave were doing all the talking and joking. Now, Eddie was not afraid to take on any guitar part. He was fearless. We were in the club once just listening to their set, and we heard Rocky Mountain Way. And at the 3-minute and about 6-second into the song, where Joe Walsh uses the talk box, they call it, part, Eddie was playing it exactly. We looked up and we said, "Look at that!" And he had this plastic tube into his mouth, and the box was hooked to a microphone stand. It was great. So they were a lot of fun. Many times they would be closing their set and we would be starting the set. So the next band is always on the stage next to the band over here. And if they played a song that we knew, like Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers or LaGrange, well, we'd start it up while they were playing it. And several times, Eddie and I got into a bit of a guitar battle on LaGrange. It was really cool. Now, this was before he was doing all of his tapping and dive bombing and whammy bar and all of those great techniques that he debuted with his first album. Well, we were talking on the break, and I said, "Eddie, do you guys do any originals?" And he said, "Yeah, we got about a half a dozen, but you probably won't hear any of them until we go all original." I said, "All right, that makes sense." Well, the months went on, and a year went by, and they would often host a softball game out in Pasadena at the ballpark out there. And my girlfriend Cece and I used to go out there a couple of times and would play ball, and it was a lot of fun. So there was a DJ at the Starwood named Rodney Binghamheimer, and he also was on KROQ, the LA rock station. He'd come up to Gazzarris to check out the bands, and he really loved Eddie's playing. So he got them booked in at the Starwood, and Gene Simmons from Kiss heard them down there, and he produced their first demo. Friends of mine and I went down and saw that show, and it was the first time I saw Eddie doing the pinched harmonics and the whammy bar dive bombing and all of the pull-offs and tapping. It was really exceptional. Ted Templeman, who was a staff producer and a VP at Warner Brothers, got a phone call from a friend of his who said, "You got to come down to the Starwood and see this band. They're going to be there next month." Ted got the call in January, so he said, "Okay, no, because it's you, I'll clear my calendar." Well, he went down there and he saw him, and he was totally stoked. He was completely blown away by Eddie's playing. And while he was watching the show, though, he had doubts about David Lee Roth. He said, "I want to sign this band, but what am I going to do with the singer? I could always have a solo album or try and lose him in the studio or what, I don't know, but I've got to go meet this band." So he went up and he introduced himself to the guys, and they were all very friendly. And he said, "Man, you guys are great. I'm coming back tomorrow night." Well, later that night, he called Mo Austin, president of Warner Brothers, and he said, "Mo, you got to come with me tomorrow night to the Starwood to see this act." So Mo said, "Hey, if you say they're that good, I'll be there." So they were both there, and Ted had a second time to see the band, and all of those reservations about David Lee Roth were running through his head. But he knew that Mo had signed The Who, Jimi Hendrix, and the Kinks to Reprise Records. So he felt like this was a good executive fit. And when the set was done, Mo said, "Let's go meet him. I want to sign them." So he went and he met the band. Now, Mo pulled Ted's friend, Marshall, aside and said, "Do they have a manager?" And he said, "No, I'm just kind of looking after them." And he said, "Well, they do now. You're their manager, and we're signing them." And the rest, my friends, is music history. That's going to wrap up today's inside look at Van Halen. And I want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Hit the notification bar so you will be the first to know of the next music moment with the old-time rock and roller. Keep love in your heart, a song in your head, and I will see you down the music story highway on the next adventure of the old-time rock and roller. So long, my friends.